We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on January 23rd, 2024 at 7:01 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's hope I can speak better. Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to speak under public participation this evening? For report. Alice?
Hello, everyone. So here is our fourth quarter report for the end of this past year. Financials, we are sitting at the hotel motel income for the year was a little over $55,000, which is up 9% compared to that should say quarter four for 2022. Grants was received. We received the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity LCTB grant. Just last month, we were informed that they came into some additional funding, so we received another round just earlier last week, and that total comes out to $7,684, which of course we're always very thankful for. So we will put that to good use. Digital marketing continues for this year with pre-roll, CTV, YouTube, Facebook streaming audio, and News Rotator. And the depot and mill are still Route 66 passport stops. We had 119 people with tourism-related inquiries, and 23 of them were visitors with Route 66 passports. We are aware of they plan to do a special edition passport for 2026 with the 100th anniversary of Route 66 coming up, so we are looking forward to those special editions, along with they will be doing a normal edition that year as well. But appointment only. Just feel free to contact us at our office. We do have gift shop items now up in our office as well. So if anyone that you know is looking for Route 66 related gifts, we have those up there as well. And once again, our hours right now are shortened. They're 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now until March. But if you're not able to make those times, because I know most people are also working during those times, we can also set up an appointment. We can let you into the building. Yeah, and then financials are attached, balance as of December 31st, 2023.
Okay. Alderman Parrott.
I thought I saw last Thursday or Friday, I can't remember the day, around noon o'clock, a couple of charter buses come in that's going by the depot. Did they stop in there? What was that about?
That was actually Amtrak. So I guess some of the trains weren't running that day, so they rented charter buses. It was a big surprise to me too. One came in right when we were opening last Tuesday, and I didn't know what they were doing. And yeah, so that was just Amtrak. That was their train for the day.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Ms. Rote? Okay. Thank you for all you're doing for Lincoln and Logan County. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item number 5. This is the 2024 Cross Farm lease. Mr. Hoblet.
So I just submitted to the council a draft of the lease, and I can't accentuate more that it is a draft. The lease typically runs March 1st through March. So it is coming up. We still have the month of February. The numbers I used was the number based upon the previous lease. He is farming less there now than what he previously did, because we swapped land with him, and there are now solar panels on there. I submitted this to him as well. When I say him, I mean Mr. Cross. So I do believe this is an item still subject for negotiation between me and Mr. Cross, and Mr. Cross, if he wants to come here to the city council and speak. And I think ultimately, the council is going to have to decide at some point. I believe this land can be further utilized with additional solar panels if you so desire in the future, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So,
Alderman Bateman.
So I'm going to ask the council just to leave this the same, because the 37 acres that he's currently farming will quite honestly probably drop down to 0, because as the council voted a little over a year ago, Keystone Holdings that has put the solar panels on there now. We went into agreement with them. They are moving forward, getting ready to send forth all the paperwork to put solar panels on the rest of the property. The only property that would be left, he technically couldn't farm it because there's a gas
Previous.
pipeline that goes down the middle of that property. They can't put solar panels on it, so it's gonna be more like just a grass strip in the middle of the property. So basically, if we leave this the same, he'll be able to farm it until, it may not be this year. It may be this year, maybe next year when they take over the rest of the land. The council already voted on that, so I don't see any reason to raise it or going out for bid because technically it's gonna drop down to zero.
Mr. Hoblet?
I will note that I think right now, at least Mr. Cross's representation is he's farming about 30 acres of that. That's tillable land over there. Thank you, Mr. Bayman. I wasn't aware of the upcoming solar panels, so I can definitely convey that to Mr. Cross. I think the last couple of years he's paid $5,750 due there to being less land. Again, and this is not an item that I'm asking you to put on the vote for next week. I think this should probably go up again, back up again on the next cow. I'm just kind of giving you guys a heads up so you're not all hit by this at the same time. And I will note there'll probably be another lease for another farm, the Myers-Hagen farm, that's going to be submitted as well to you guys, which will be similar in format to this. This is a standard format that's used without the state of Illinois for cash farm leases. So.
Can you use your mic?
How long out do you think taking over the 30 acres is going to be for the?
Starter construction will either be in 2024 or it should be completed by 2025.
Mr. Bounds?
So that is a question that it brings a whole slew of parties to the table. The biggest hurdle that Keystone Holdings has to cross is the adjustable block program with the state, and that is a revolving program with the state that is updated every single year. So Mr. Bateman's timeline is as fair as we can present at this time, but there is no concrete build date at this point.
They were awarded
It's
the
fluid.
grant. It's just a timeline thing.
But for this year, they should be fine to farm that land.
Well, I think it should be just like the agreement we had before. He
It is.
farms it until we say construction's getting ready to start.
Hmm.
That's why I'm getting at, leave the rent the same, leave it per acre, take off the 6,000 because he's got to pay us, it's less than the 37 that's listed here, and just let him farm it till they come in and say, I think the last
So-
time we allowed him to harvest the crops and then they started, correct?
He was able to harvest the majority of what was planted. I do not believe there was not a measurable amount of acreage reduced prior to his harvest.
Yeah, the solar company, it works well with the city and they know that we're cash renting this. I just don't see any reason to change it or go out for a new bid, knowing that we're gonna basically eliminate what's left out there.
I think due to the amount that we in regards to this lease, I don't think we need to go out for bid. I think it's under a certain threshold, and the timing is under a certain threshold that we don't need to actually go out for bid. So
So place this item on the regular agenda
To leave as is.
as presented in the packet.
well, again, Mr. Cross has paid $5,750. Mine indicates $6,000 here because that was on the old lease. He's paying a smaller amount the last couple of years. Prices have changed in regards to amount per acre. This isn't also the greatest land in the world that's out there. I think there's definitely some drainage issues that is present along that line, that farmland, which I've explained in my email. I mean, you could put this on the regular agenda, but I would need to speak with Mr. Cross, and that subject to that conversation, there might be some edit requests from him to be put on here.
So would you like to then bring this back at the next cow?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, no action required. Any other questions on this topic? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hoblet. Okay, next item up is item number 6, proposed bid for the purchase of 112, 114, and 116 South Chicago Street, ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate. Mr. Woodhull or Mr. Hoblet? And Mr. Woodhull is on the call.
Yeah, I'm here. Unless there's any questions, the council approved some time ago to put these 3 properties out for, sale for city-owned properties, and, I did so. We bid it out, and received the bid information that you have in your memo. So unless there's any questions, I can answer.
And the bid in the packet, for those who may listen or watch, it was a $100 bid from Integrity Holdings LLC.
Do we know what their plans are for the buildings?
Yes, sir. It's basically a full rehab. They intend on, obviously, the biggest aspect is the rear of 116. In my bid packet, the instructions were to timeline wise, clean everything up. Of course, it's really exteriorly, it's not horrible other than 116. And then the timeline also includes cleaning out the insides of them, whatever trash has been piled up over the years, 112 being the worst of those. The bid did include a timeline for that. And then I've been through it with this particular bidder, with their architect and contractor, and they have intentions of remodeling them, rehabbing them, and putting them back into use.
Ms. O'Donohue?
What is the timeline, Wes, for cleaning all that up and getting the trash and stuff out?
Per the bid documents, I had it pretty much scheduled out with, 30 days you have to do this, 60 days you have to do that. So 30 days from closing was, building security as far as not necessarily boarding them up, but getting in holes or whatever necessarily, closed up, removing the trash and debris from the property exterior. Phase 2 was 60 days, removing the 116 rear portion and securing up the rear entry to that, and at the same time working on the interiors, getting those cleaned out. And then 90 days was shoring of the roof of all of them. Now that wasn't in my actual documents, but he gave, or this company gave us a timeline up to 120 days as far as installing new roofs, tuck pointing, gutter systems and so forth. And then once they get into that portion of it, obviously there'll be permitting aspects. So then we'll get actual plans and actual architectural features involved. My biggest concern right now is obviously the rear of 116 and then the closing up of tuck pointing gaps, animal intrusion and whatnot. There's really, to be honest, other than 116, there isn't a lot of that. And then down the road, the roof would be the roofs themselves would start to be the biggest concern.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Woodhull? Okay. So place accepting this bid on the regular agenda for next week?
Right, I would ask the agenda item reflect ordinance, accepting bid. Yep.
Okay. Place it on the regular agenda. Okay, next item up is item number 7, proposal to change start time of city council meetings from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. Alderman Bateman.
So this has been talked about for a while, and just in casual talk, and it's gotten a lot more traction since then. So I decided to put this on the agenda with lifestyle changes and such, and talking with other aldermen and the mayor and some department heads. I just feel it's time to change the council times to 6 o'clock. Quite honestly, it's not like the general public shows up in droves and we got to worry about them. I wish they would, but they don't. And As far as the viewing online, if you look at the YouTube feed and stuff, very few people watch it live. Most of the people watch it afterwards. So like you'll go home and it only be 10, 15 people watched it, but you wake up the next morning and over 100 watched it. So I don't think it's going to affect the public that much. And discussing it with the public, they had no problem with it. So I'd like to put on the agenda that we change the times to 6 p.m. For the reasons I stated.
Discussion? Okay, Ms. McClellan.
That would mean I have other obligations that would be harder for me, but if I'm the only one, then I understand and I can, make arrangements.
Okay. And for the record, so we looked at the ordinance, city attorney can jump in if he'd like, but there is an ordinance that sets the time for the regular council meetings. The committee of the whole is set by the mayor. So to keep them consistent, what we would do is we would issue a proclamation for the committee of the whole meetings. Correct, Mr. Oblick? Yes. Okay. So you would have 2 items to vote on to change those meeting times.
Well, I guess there would be an ordinance for the change of the for the regular meeting, but if you want to be technical, Mayor, you don't need council, authority or vote to do that. I mean, you could always wait until see what the count that they pass it,
Sure.
then issue that proclamation, just to have everything coincide. But that is not an item that the council needs to address.
Mr. Bateman.
And because of the number of weeks in January, the voting meeting is until the 5th. So I would like, if the city attorney's gonna write something up and for the council to vote on the 5th, I would just make this ordinance change the first meetings in March. That gives everybody time to adjust to the new schedule, and I look forward to it.
Okay, so place this on the regular agenda. Alderman Parrott, did you have something?
I was just going to say it'd be great that we can go to 10 o'clock and have an extra hour if we need to on some of our meetings.
Oh, let's not, please. Okay, so we'll place that on the regular agenda. Yep, the ordinance. Okay, next up, we have several under item 8. These are Economic Development Grant Commission approvals. First are structural improvement grants. The first one is G.K. Brown Electric LLC for 228 South Chicago Street. And that grant request was to replace exterior door and windows in an amount of $7,500. Place this on the regular agenda.
Yes.
Okay, we'll place item number 1 on the regular agenda. The second one is from Integrity Holdings LLC for 129 South Kickapoo Street, and that is a roof replacement for $7,500. This is the building where Indigo Quilt Shop is, for those who are wondering what that building is. Okay, place that on the regular agenda. Next is Acme 007. The packet reads AMCE, but it's ACME 007 LLC. 401 Broadway. This is for roof repairs in an amount of $7,500. And this is for the old Fastenal building on the corner of Logan and Broadway. Okay. Next, we have 2 facade grant requests. The first one is G.K. Brown Electric LLC at 228 South Chicago Street. This is for power washing, paint, and trim in an amount of $5,223. Regular agenda. Okay, and the last one is for Steve Brown at 220 South Chicago Street. This is again for pressure wash and paint in an amount of $3,900. Regular agenda. Okay. That brings us down to announcements. I have one item that I'd like the council to consider last minute addition due to some timelines. If you recall, I asked the council if anybody was interested in taking up the charge for aggregation. And I think it's been a week or 2 ago. I didn't get any interest in that one, which is okay. So I went ahead and took that upon myself because I've done it before in the past, before Alderman Hopeful was doing it for us. Reached out to Justin Chager with Stone River Group. They're who we've worked with in the past, and he's put a packet together. I can send it to you. This is to go out for RFPs, and I can send that to everybody for review. This did have a timeline, and I've put it up on the screen. The release of the RFP for the 21st, but I'm bringing it tonight so that we can get ahead of things. And the reason why is that this, now keep in mind, we do two aggregations, two different types. One is for city accounts, so street lights, buildings, etc. The other one is what they call municipal ag, which is for the community at large. This is for the city accounts. So if we go too far into March, then we risk not being able to get locked in on a consistent rate. We run the potential of going to a month-to-month rate, which is higher. So if the council is in agreement, I'd like to go ahead and get some of these dates adjusted, send them out to you, but also get this on the regular agenda for next week so that we can vote and get this process going.
Regular.
Mr. Bateman?
When you're talking to Justin, can you ask if he's okay sharing his contact information with the general public? Because I have been contacted by a few citizens that have questions about aggregation, but they don't quite understand the packets that we give out. I didn't know if he's okay with someone just contacting him either by email or phone call and explaining the situation, because quite honestly, those that have sit here, once it goes out, then all of a sudden people are bombarded with the electric ag letters, and then they're bombarded with Silco letters telling them you shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're both trying to compete. And I think the citizens just want to know what their actual savings are and if anything will change.
This particular one is not for the community, so there won't be letters that go out. But still, we're in a current period for aggregation for the community, and if they have questions about it, then he's certainly willing to answer those, or I can. I know Alderman Hopeful used to do that for us. But yeah, we can get him in touch.
I mean, it's important for people to know that Ameren will always be their electric provider. This is who you're buying it from, because they're afraid. A lot of people don't want to, switch, and you have to explain you're not switching. You're just who you're buying your gasoline from, not the company that's delivering it.
No, but it's in the video. So if you go on the city website, and I've got it up here on the screen, this is Justin, and this was a video that he put out about municipal aggregation for the residents of the community. I can update this article to put his contact information in there, so we can get that out there. Mr. Barrett?
Just a quick question. Then for the municipality, for the residents, how much longer do we have on that contract?
I think we were in a 3-year contract, and that was 22, so I think we're good till 25. I can confirm that. Yes. Yeah, and the current provider, I believe, was Constellation, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
But it was still through Justin.
It is through Stone River. Stone River's, so there's two parts to this process. The first part is going out for an RFP for, and I forget what they call themselves, but basically Stone River goes out and there's other companies that do it, and they try to get the best rate they can based on the pool that they have. So we're part of that pool. We have been. That don't mean we can't switch over to another provider, and that's what this first part does, is get us with the right provider, and then they go out to all of the electric companies, and then they get the rates. It's pretty comparable. And I can have him come in and talk to the city too, if you'd like.
What you just described is exactly the questions. Is they're hearing Stone River Group, and then they're looking at their Ameren bill and it says Constellation.
Yeah.
And they're not, you know what I'm trying to say? They're not understanding that Stone River is the salesman, Constellation is the provider. So just some clarification is all we need.
Yep.
I think that's all the questions people have, is just some simple clarification.
Yeah, they connect the resident with the provider. That's their role. And there's a couple companies that do that. So putting this out would give those Stone River and those other companies an opportunity to bid and be that individual provider for the city. So, okay. We'll put that on the regular agenda. I might go ahead and ask Justin to come in case there's questions. Typically, the questions that come up is, what are the rates? What are some of the other providers? Fees. People have asked in the past about what their fees are, which there are no fees for them. Yeah. So it's not a bad idea for those of you who are new to this topic to get some of that information firsthand. And it'll actually set you up for when we have the municipal aggregation conversation in a year or so. Steve.
Yeah, and then with the municipal, so what happens is everybody switches over, and if you want to remain or go back to Ameren, right, they have to contact.
Opt out.
Yeah, so they submit a letter or something, right?
Yeah, there's a packet that they get that explains all of that. And if you opt out, I think you have to wait 6 months, but then you can get back on if you decided Ameren wasn't the best rate and you want to go back to Constellation, you can do it, but there's a waiting period.
Yeah.
And also, if you have any issues with Constellation, again, as Mr. Bateman said, Justin knows how Constellation works. He can answer those questions. He can, if you've got a problem, he can talk to Constellation. I know he's fixed a couple issues in the past for people. You guys, right? Yeah. So. Yeah. So, okay. So we will place that on the regular agenda for next week, and we will get you an updated RFP with dates. I will send that to the city attorney so he can do anything that he needs to do to support that. Can you give it a once over for us? Okay. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Does anybody have an announcement they'd like to make? Okay. Alderman Parrott.
No, and we've had a couple of nasty mornings here, the last few mornings, and I just want to kind of thank, Walt and his crew for, what they were able to do with what they were dealt with. And so I just appreciate, everything you guys did.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, so we're thinking alike. Not to throw Walt under the bus, but there is a rhyme and a reason. This happens every year we get snow. There's a rhyme and a reason as to how and why the crews go out, what materials are put down, timing, etc. So if you have any questions about it, I'm certainly willing to take your phone calls, but I'm not the expert on that one. I'm sure Mr. Landers would be happy to explain it if you want to call out to the Streets and Alleys building. And we're always looking for ways to improve the way we do things. So if you have feedback, please let us know. We got some feedback today, and duly noted. Okay. Mr. Bateman,
Motion to adjourn.
is there a second? Second. Alderman Bateman made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Meeting is adjourned at 7:29 p.m.